Rama 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 Ram 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 Yogi Ramsuratkumar Yogi Ramsuratkumar Yogi Ramsuratkumar Jaya Guru Raya Yogi Ramsuratkumar Yogi Ramsuratkumar Yogi Ramsuratkumar Jaya Guru Raya Yogi Ramsuratkumar Yogi Ramsuratkumar Yogi Ramsuratkumar Jaya Guru Raya Yogi Ramsuratkumar Yogi Ramsuratkumar Yogi Ramsuratkumar Jaya Guru Raya Bhagwan Shri Yogi Ramsuratkumar ki Sarvam Yogi Ramsuratkumararpanamastu. With deep gratitude, we have submitted our Divyanama Sankirtanam at His lotus feet, invoking a huge grace upon the world. Bhagwan has given us a new paradigm. One Leela a day will keep the Maya away. We shall see so many Leelas and bury the Maya alive or dead. It would never again rear its head and throw us into confusion. All that we have to do is remember His assurances and the Nama, the treasured name meant for liberation from the tyranny of our egos. And continuous remembrance and chanting of His name, and rejoice in the glorious Leelas of this Kripa Samudram. Today, we shall see a few Leelas of Bhagwan where the devotees experience his extraordinary grace. Shri Ramaswamy, we have been seeing some of his experiences. He has quite a few interesting and inspiring Leelas. He worked for many years in Bombay and then came down to the south in 1976. He took up a job. Now before he took up a job in Pondicherry, I think. 1977, he was called, when he visited Bhagwan, Bhagwan gave him the title Ganga. So he is well known as Ganga Ramaswamy among the devotees. It's only after Bhagwan gave him the name Ganga Ramaswamy, he got a job in Pondicherry, Ganga Varnishes. In 1978, he came to visit Bhagwan with a friend by name Ganapati. Now when Bhagwan was sitting with them, he kept on asking Shri Ramaswamy again and again about his father. Shri Ramaswamy said that his father was running a hotel. He never took these children out, even to a temple, because all the work to be done in the hotel were done by themselves. So they were kept busy. Neither did his father go visit any place, but oftentimes he was found uttering Gurunatha, Gurunatha. Then Bhagwan began to ask him who that Gurunatha was. Then Shri Ramaswamy said that when his father visited at the age of 16 Tiruppavai, there he was met by an old man who took him along and initiated him in the tradition of Narayana Theertha. After that, his father began to hold on to the feet of his holy Guru. So all that he ever said was Gurunatha, Gurunatha. He began to live for his Gurunatha. He began to dedicate everything to him. One day, when the Aradhana of his Guru was to take place, his father decided to feed all the devotees. So he had gathered all those things used for cooking for the next day's feeding, including the plantain leaves, all the groceries, all heaped up in the hotel. And the next day was the grand occasion when everybody, every visitor would be fed. His father also had some enemies, people who were jealous of him. Unfortunately, they set fire to the hotel. Just imagine the next day was going to be the Aradhana day of his Gurunath, and he had gathered all the groceries, materials for the next day's feeding. And that night, it happened, somebody set fire and the whole place started to burn. Tongues of flames rose into the sky. But his father was not disturbed. Such was his preparation of mind that all that he said was, okay, if all these groceries, everything, were meant for Agni Bhagwan's food, let him eat it. If it is my Gurunath's wish, let Agni Bhagwan eat it. If my Gurunatha wishes to feed people, his devotees, he will definitely protect them. It is his responsibility. Whatever he wishes is all right. Either way, it's meant for him. He sounds like a saint. What surrender? Can we ever think of such state of mind? They say the Emperor Nero was playing on the violin, the fiddle, when Rome was burning. That's a different thing altogether. Here was a disciple soaked in the devotion to his Gurunath. He left everything. Everything that happens is okay. It's all Gurunatha's grace, Gurunatha's will. Whatever he does is okay. We have to pray to Bhagwan for this state of mind. Now the next day, when people visited, they found that only those groceries, even the plantain leaves, were not burnt at all. The rest were burnt, but all these were saved. Such is the glory of devotion and faith in the grace of one's Guru. Bhagwan was very deeply touched by this story. And soon after that, Ramaswamy ji was working in the paper mills in Mambakam, and the factory was near the border. It was between Kadalur and Pondicherry. It was the outer of Pondicherry. One day, in the middle of the night, they heard something like an explosion of a bomb. A terrible sound which shattered everything around. And then they had 4,000 tons of waste paper accumulated in one place, and they started burning uncontrollably. Now it was the middle of the night, and it was outer Pondicherry, Mambakam. There was no way these people could approach the fire department. And so all that Ramaswamy could do at that time was just spread a towel and prostrate towards the direction of Tiruvannamalai, calling out to Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, please take care. I can't find any way to contain this fire. You have to save us. And he fell down in full prostration, his entire length. And soon the clouds gathered. Out of nowhere, the clouds gathered, and there was heavy rain only there, only in Mabaka, where the factory was situated. And soon the fire was put out, to the delight and relief of all those people. We do not know what is involved because the father went through this kind of fire, and now the son. The next day or the day after, Shri Ramaswamy visited Bhagwan. Bhagwan made him sit there, and he started to walk up and down, up and down, up and down restlessly. And then finally he told Shri Ramaswamy, which is food for our contemplation. He said, Ganga Ramaswamy, your father had darshan of Arunachaleshwara. You had darshan of Jambukeshwara. What did he mean? Jnanis, like Bhagwan, they could see only Arunachaleshwara in the fire that burnt down the hotel, the means of his livelihood. And it was still Arunachaleshwara. Bhagwan would call it a blessing of Arunachaleshwara. Now when this happened to Ramaswamy's workplace, and when he appealed to the grace, the compassion of Bhagwan, there was heavy rain only there and nowhere else. There is a linga surrounded by water. This linga is called Jambukeshwara, Jambu. This is what Shri Ramaswamy has written, which means Bhagwan looked upon the fire as Linga, Lord Shiva, and the heavy rain also Lord Shiva. They could see only Lord Shiva. Bhagwan could see only the divine and his will. This is what we have to learn, because it's a high state, and before that we have to fall down several times and get up with great struggle. But then his blessings are there. Let us learn to see every adversity as a blessing from the divine. Let us learn to see the fire as Arunachaleshwara, the rain as Jambukeshwara. Otherwise, we would be highly disturbed and fall into depression, and you know what follows after that. Whereas when we take something, any adversity, as a definite blessing from God, it will very soon prove itself to be a blessing, true to our anticipation, true to our hope and faith. It will reveal itself. how it is a blessing. Now let us shift to another scene. Srimati Pankajam Das, who sings so beautifully, who delighted Bhagwan by her singing. She met him only in 1975 for the first time. After that, she began to visit him every 3 months or 6 months. It's only in 1980, when she visited Bhagwan, it suddenly struck her that she could stay on because every time she visited him, she would return the same day. But this time, somehow, it struck her that next time when she came here, she should stay on for at least 3 days, 2 days, 3 days. So the next time she came with a luggage, a bag and all, but she had no idea where she would stay. She came straight to Bhagwan, and Bhagwan saw her with the luggage and inquired. When she replied she wanted to stay for 2 or 3 days, Bhagwan asked her, "Where would you stay?" Of course, she didn't know what to say. Then Bhagwan himself said, "Okay, you go to Ramanashram." And of course, that day, Bhagwan kept her till 7:30. It was only after 7:30 in the evening that she went to Ramanashram. Bhagwan arranged everything for her. He called a cycle rickshawala, paid ₹5, and instructed him to take her safely to Ramanashram. And then he told her, "There is Mr. Mani there. He will make all the arrangements for you. He would help you there. You go and meet him." And sent her. When she arrived at Ramanashram, one man was standing there. Even before she opened her mouth, he said, "Oh, you have come. Though this is the time for food, so you can keep your luggage here. Let's go to the dining hall." He took her there. Afterwards, he would not allow her to talk. He just gave her a room and said, "You stay up. You stay in the room. We will talk tomorrow morning." He didn't ask her who she was, how she came to be there. And what was more, he readily, very hospitably, arranged for her food and accommodation. It's only the next day morning after the breakfast, she was called to the office, and there the same one was there, enquiring her. She said, "Yogi Ramsuratkumar sent me here. He told me to meet one Mr. Mani. Yogiji said that Mr. Mani would take care of me. He would arrange." Then the man who stood before her said, "Oh, did you meet him? Did he arrange everything nicely for you?" Said, "I do not know who Mr. Mani is, but you arranged everything nicely for me. Where is Mr. Mani? I would like to see him." And then that man replied, "I am that Mani." What a delightful Leela. So here we see Pankajam Das celebrated this glorious grace of Bhagwan, the Leela of Bhagwan, saying, even before we reach a place, Bhagwan makes arrangement for our comforts. Now this Bhagwan would arrange for our comforts also in our life. It's not one time, one way karuna. It's for all times, all through our life. We just have to trust Him, trust His grace, and go with faith. She recalls another incident. Her son at one time was staying in Rishikesh. She had given him a photograph of Bhagwan. He had kept it in his room. He became friends with one retired electrical engineer who was also staying there with his wife, that is in Rishikesh. Once when this retired electrical engineer visited her son's room, he saw the picture of Bhagwan, Yogi Ramsuratkumar. He exclaimed excitedly, "Oh, Yogi ji is here. Oh, wonderful. How is that?" And then he narrated his experience to Pankajam Das' son. He said, at one time, he was smoking all that time. A chain smoker, a helpless chain smoker, was bent upon spoiling his health. At one point, his lungs suffered so much because of this smoking. The doctor gave a warning, a wake-up call. Look, you have to stop smoking. This just will not do. And of course he tried and failed. And he would not listen to his wife, and it became a worry to his wife. She became very anxious. And they used to visit Yogi Ramsuratkumar Bhagwan in Tiruvannamalai. So one time the wife came alone and she begged Bhagwan. She said, "Swami, please stop this smoking for my husband. He just would not listen to me, listen to anybody. He keeps on smoking. His lungs are already affected." She begged him, and Bhagwan blessed her. After that, the next time, she came with her husband. Now Bhagwan very cheerfully welcomed them, seated them in front of him. And the first thing that he did was offer a cigarette to her husband. He said, "I know you have the habit of smoking. I would also like to smoke. So let's smoke together." And then he lighted his cigarette. He asked the electrical engineer also to light his cigarette. And they started to smoke. And Bhagwan interrupted and said, No, you give me your cigarette and you smoke my cigarette." He exchanged it with the engineer, and the engineer was very delighted that he was being rewarded. His wife was telling him all the time, "Stop smoking, stop smoking." And here, how generous of Bhagwan, he's asking me to smoke. And what's more, now he's offering his own cigarette. How wonderful. He must have looked at his wife also in a certain way. You see what Swami is doing, he's approving. And then he took the cigarette from Bhagwan's hand and started to smoke. And what happened? He felt such bitterness in the mouth. Within seconds, he was unable to smoke the cigarette. It left such a bad taste in the mouth. And he expressed it. He said to Swami, Swami, I'm not able to smoke this. Then Bhagwan very generously said, okay, that is my cigarette. I lighted it. You light your own cigarette and smoke. Very generous offer. He was again delighted. The engineer, he looked at his wife, just see how Swami is indulging me. And then he lighted, he took out his cigarette, the usual one, and lighted it and started smoking. And again, he felt such bad taste in the mouth, he was unable to go on. He felt nausea. He just could not continue. And he just threw it down. Bhagwan smiled and probably exchanged a secret look with the engineer's wife. And after that, the electrical engineer could not smoke at all. He gave up smoking. So he ended the story saying, this Yogiji saved my life. He made me drop this habit and saved my life. See how the grace works. Our compassionate Bhagwan. This another scene, Srinivasa Varadhan. He used to go to Tiruvannamalai, Arunachaleshwara Temple every day morning, and then after Thiruppavai, an invocation song to wake up the sleeping God. God never sleeps. All this Thiruppavai, Thiruvempavai, Thiruppavai, the wake up songs are meant for ourselves. The divine in us has been put to sleep because we indulge in Maya. This wake up song is generally meant for us, though it is sung before the Lord with the assumption, with the bhava of waking up the Lord, the sleeping Lord, inside the sanctum sanctorum. So after he finished that and the Shiva Puranam, he came out and Bhagwan was as usual sitting there, the Sambandha Vinayaka shrine. People were coming and prostrating before him. Srinivasa Varadhan also went and prostrated. It was his habit to hold on to his feet. He would embrace the feet tight and not let go until Bhagwan patted him loudly on the back. Bhagwan would say, enough, enough, get up. Once, I believe in the temple, one Jayaram Pujari suggested for the use of a loudspeaker when they sang those Shiva songs. So the next day, they started this loudspeaker singing, and Bhagwan became very disturbed. So when Srinivasa Varadhan came to him and prostrated, holding on to his feet, Bhagwan gave him a very loud pat, rather very strong one. Get up. Now who played this Leela here, he said. What is this Leela? This loud singing by a loudspeaker. Who put it there? And then when Srinivasa Varadhan narrated, Bhagwan said, it has to be stopped. This temple, there must be silence here. And if any singing is done, it should be done without loudspeaker. And after that, when he went and reported it to the other pujaris, they stopped it. And then, of course, there are other stories. We shall stop at this. And this Bhagwan who helped people in different ways, in different situations, is here right in front of us with a smile, a beautiful smile playing upon his lips and hand raised in benediction. You may not be able to see the smile. We tried today to catch the smile in the phone, the Facebook. I do not know whether you are able to see the smile there, but he is definitely smiling here in front of us, very pleased with our Nama chanting. And he is, for sure, listening to these Leelas delightedly. Now to this Bhagwan, we shall submit today's prayers. Bhagwan, we appeal to you again and again for your immediate divine intervention to free this world from the clutches of this virulent virus and its variant and bring back normalcy to the entire world. And Bhagwan, there is panic in the hearts of people again because it's a new spread. Please remove, uproot this panic from the hearts of people and arrest the spread of the disease. And please enter this vaccine. The vaccination drive is vigorously on. You have to enter this medicine and make it work. It should kill the virus instantly.